I'm fairly excited to talk about this one. This has probably been one of the best purchases I've made in a while concerning my electronics hobby. I've been using an old Weller WLC 100 soldering iron for roughly 12 years now. And I've never really thought much about it. It turns on, it heats up, you use it, whatever. And and I'm a big fan of the EEV blog video series. And he went to some trade show and ran into a guy with JBC, and that guy was showing him the new soldering iron, and it blew me away. I was like, I didn't know such a thing even existed. And they did send him one, and I think he still has not done a review on it yet. But they have older models, and I happened to find one on eBay for $270 shipped. It's a model 2490, I believe. No, excuse me, an AD2950. And I think I've had it like 3 days now, and I'm already just head over heels in love with this thing. The big sell is how quick the tip heats up. And the reason it's able to do that is the tips have the heaters in the tip, And my old Weller, of course, it had a cylinder with a heater in it, and it heated, and you put the tip into the cylinder, and the cylinder heated the tip, and doesn't draw a lot of power. It takes well over a minute for heat up, and blah blah blah. So anyhow, I just want to do a little review about it here. Get a little close up of the machine. So it's on right now. It's in sleep mode. You can set it for different temperatures for sleep mode, and it will always be in sleep mode as long as the tool is in the holder. There's a sensor here that says that the tool is in there, and it'll go from full temperature down to sleep mode temperature. I'll get it set on 240, and as soon as I pull it out, it'll get up to 600 degrees. Maybe 5-6 seconds or something. When I first got it, the sleep mode temperature was set at 350, and it literally took like 3 seconds. But I don't need it to recover that fast. Let's see if I can get some better light over here. So I set it down a little bit, and I thought mostly it would just be for power savings. And I'll actually break out the kilowatt meter here in a minute and test between the Weller and this one, just to see what kind of power we're pulling. What else? I only got a couple of tips with it. The one in the tool is kind of a angled blade. I'm not totally in love with it, but it's doing pretty good. It's too wide for what I normally do, and then I got a couple of these that are just conical, sharp points, and those are really no good for electronic soldering. But I've got it around anyway. There is a little holder slash cartridge changer down here, and basically you lay it in there, and it says extractor on the screen, shuts power off to it, and basically you can just pull the cartridge out using that thing. And of course you'll have a second tool over there, or a second cartridge over there, and you'll just grab onto it a little bit, and then there's these 3 holes that you can use to push the cartridge in the rest of the way, and there is a little black line on the cartridge that will line up with the metal piece here to show that it's all the way in. Fairly simple and easy. I don't have enough cartridges to really worry about changing from this blade. I do want to upgrade to a chisel like I had with the Weller, just because that's what I'm, like a 2 millimeter chisel. It's what I'm used to using, and like I said, at that angle I'm basically using the tip most of the time anyway, just the way this thing is formed. But yeah, I mean, I have yet to find anything that I really don't like about this. The cord is nice and flimsy. The newer ones have some kind of holder up here that helps, whip the cord out of the way. Not really a thing for me since I have it setting over here on the corner of the edge of the table. No big deal. Changing settings in it isn't really fun. It comes with it's like a 4-digit pin number, and the factory pin number is 0105. I didn't know that. I had to actually download the manual and read up on it a little bit, and I read up and figured out what the extractor thing was. I had no idea what the hell this thing did until I read the manual. But you have to hold select for 3 seconds to get into the menu to change anything. I believe you can set it to where the plus and minus buttons will change set temperature just on the fly. I don't think I've got it set. I think it's set for 600 degrees no matter what buttons I'm pushing up here. So the newer ones have a little bit better angle on the face and a lot larger screen, of course, which would be nice. But to be honest, now that I'm used to it, I've used it for a few days, I know that within 5 seconds of me picking up the tool that it's up to temperature. So I'm really not looking at the screen anyway. I'm rarely going to change the temperature. Another thing about having the heater in the cartridge is that all the heat is there, and it will transfer onto whatever you're soldering or desoldering a lot more efficient than the Weller ever did. So even desoldering very large clumps of solder seems to be a lot easier with this. For instance, the TG16 RF shielding, if anybody's done those, there is just giant clumps of solder on there, and the blade made almost all of it melt within seconds, whereas if I try to put the Weller on there, it just seemed like it just took forever. Same thing with the Turbo Duo shield on the front, where it's soldered down to the controller port. Same thing. It would take forever with the Weller. I'd have to crank it up. This one, I sat it on there for 5 or 10 seconds, and it was all melted enough to where I could pop it off. So yeah, I'm super happy with this thing. If you can find one, highly recommend it if you want to upgrade to a really nice soldering station. I think I'll put it on the kilowatt and check out the differences. One of the things I love so much about this is it's got a timer on it you can set for however long, but it goes into hibernation mode. In hibernation mode, it's only pulling 0.07 amps, 4 watts, 9 volt amps, and the power factor is 0.5, of course, so it's typical. But basically, you can leave it on, and you don't have to worry about it pulling a lot of juice. Okay, so it's in hibernation mode, and if I basically just lift the tool out of the rest, give it about, there it is, 600 degrees, somewhat close to 10 seconds. And when we're pulling full power, we're pulling, well, it's switching in and out, I guess now. I should have been watching while it was pulling up. But at 600 degrees, we're pulling between 10 and 20 watts to keep it at temperature. A little bit less than 20 watts, actually. And it looks like we're switching between a 1/4 amp and right around 0.4 amps to keep it at 600 degrees. Power factor is a lot less, 0.3, 0.4. And then if I put the tool back in the holder, it goes into sleep mode, and I've got it set for, I think, 240 degrees. You can see it automatically went to pulling nothing, 0.07 amps. And that's about what it will take. It'll switch, I think, between 0.07 and maybe 0.15, maybe a 1/4 amp to keep it at 240 degrees in sleep mode. so almost nothing. I'll let it cool down here, and then we'll pull it off again and see how much it's pulling at full. Okay, so it's down to 240, and I can see it's at 0.15 amps. There's a quarter amp, and then it's back down to 0.07 amps. So it's just a little bit of juice to keep it in sleep mode at 240. So I'll pull it up, and it's pulling 1.42 amps just for what, maybe 3 seconds, and we're already down to 0.3 amps. It's already up to temperature. That's what I love about this thing, is just it's pulling no power. In a few seconds, it's at full temperature, and it reduces draw down to almost nothing again. That's awesome. Okay, for the old Weller that I used to use, this is the WLC 100 40 water. It does not pull anything when it's switched off. It's showing 0.01 amps, but that's what the kilowatt pulls, I guess. I don't know. I've got it set to right at 4, which I'm not exactly sure what temperature that is. I'll switch it on, and then I'll have to go by the video of how long it actually takes. Well, and I really don't know how to judge when it'll be up to full temperature, but it seems like it takes forever. Well, I'll go ahead and switch it on, and we'll see. It's pulling right at a quarter amp at full power. So that tells you right there, that's why the JBC heats up so fast, is it'll pull 1.5 amps for a few seconds, but this one will pull a quarter amp for over a minute before it seems to actually be up to temperature. I guess one way I could test is just to sit here and wait for solder to melt on the tip, which I know it'll take at least, if not more than a minute. And I've got it set on 4, and then about 3.5 to 4 is usually where I set it just for general soldering, and I usually crank it all the way up to 5 if I'm doing any kind of desoldering, because the heat gets sucked out of the tip, and the hotter it is, the quicker desoldering is. And the tip that I have in here, I think it's right at a 2mm tip, and it's probably not even 3 weeks old. It didn't see a lot of use, and it is already just as close to trash as it can be. Starting to get a little bit warm here. Definitely not warm enough for solder to melt yet. There we go. Just started to melt on there. So it's probably just now usable. So we'll look at the video and see how long that took. But definitely way more than a few seconds. Well, I mean, there you have it. I knew it was going to be obvious. I was kind of surprised that the Weller was only pulling a quarter amp constantly. I thought it would be higher. So anyway, it's pretty obvious that this is going to save me a little bit of electricity, and not to mention just frustration with heat up time. Like I said, one of the best buys I've made in a long time for my electronics hobby. There you have it. JBC, go get one.